Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this live session where today we're going to be talking about the connection between the entrepreneurial lifestyle and your mindset of life. So we'll just give it a few seconds here for people to come on board. Now, for those of you who are going to watch the recording, after the live event, please feel free to leave any comments, questions, and so forth. I do see them, and I will get back to you. So this video is a follow-on of our prior video where we're kind of starting a series here on mindset. And mindset, of course, is absolutely critical, regardless of what endeavor in life you seek to excel at. In fact, if you're not wanting to do anything in life but be a couch potato, there's a mindset associated with that, of course. But that's really not where we're going. What we're trying to do here, will do in this particular series, is educate you on a very powerful idea, concept, formula called the mindset of life. And so we're going to get started with that here in about 10 seconds. We'll give people a little more time to come on and we'll get going. So welcome. Hey, Bob, welcome. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Today's topic, it's the connection between the entrepreneurial lifestyle and the mindset of life. Now, the two go together. That's what we're going to be discussing. Now, if you haven't watched the previous videos that preceded this one, let me just give you the Reader's Digest version, the summary version of the preceding live video that covered the definition of mindset, because that's very important to understand as we get into this topic today. I have a definition of mindset that was developed over a number of years. Those experiences I had working for and with numerous entrepreneurs. There were 58 of them 10 years ago. And since then, I've added about 10 more, where what I do is I take and I write down the person's name, of course, and then I go through and I catalog all of the experiences I had with them, what they did, what they thought, what they said, their successes, their failures, their backgrounds, their frustrations, their joys, everything that I could think about in my association with these people, I filled a journal with. And it's like 258 pages of these experiences. And so one day I sat down and I figured it'd be really interesting to go through all of this and try to correlate what it is that all of these people have in common that made them so successful. Now, a lot of these entrepreneurs were in the high-tech industries of aerospace and semiconductors, but quite a few of them were in retail, in online marketing, in various healthcare professions. These were people that I associated with, met, worked for. And all of the various experiences just kept coming into my mind as correlating. There was something there. So consequently, the Reader's Digest version is, I created a massive spreadsheet and I filled it with all these various characteristics. And then over the course of several months, I finally got it down to the point where I was able to correlate all of the various characteristics of these individuals. And lo and behold, I found out that every single one of them had in common the same characteristics, the same traits, the same variables. Not a single one of them was absent. So that's what we're going to be getting into as we move into this series. But from all of that, what I was able to do is create a definition. So in other words, the definition that I shared in the previous video, which I will once again summarize here, came from all of these variables that I culled down into a formula. And when I looked at the formula, I thought, well, what is this teaching me? This formula has all these variables that every single one of these entrepreneurs had in common, but what does it mean? And from that, I extracted the definition of mindset. So here it is. Your mindset is your life operating system that gives you clarity of vision, purpose, thought, action, and results, facilitates and adapts to change, and promotes growth in multiple areas of your life. Those three elements of your mindset, in other words, clarity, change, and growth, these are three critical elements of a life well served and absolutely critical for the entrepreneur. So along the way, what happened is I created a definition that turned out to be very powerful in and of itself. And so in the last video, which I'd encourage you to go back and watch, I broke those down. I broke those three categories of clarity, change, and growth. I broke them down and discussed the importance of each one. And to give you an idea how they're all interrelated, what we're going to be talking about today, in addition to the entrepreneurial lifestyle, mindset of life, is also the 6 human needs, which you may or may not have heard about. But along the way, what I did is I created what's called an influence diagram, and that's what you see here. And I put each of the 6 human needs, and I went through and I correlated them. In other words, how do they influence one another? How does certainty influence growth? How does it influence contribution? And just went around that circle and tying them all together. Well, what ends up happening is this mindset definition that I just shared with you overlays perfectly with the 6 basic human needs. In other words, if you adopt this definition of mindset and the formula that goes along with it that we'll be talking about in the coming weeks, then what you end up with is the perfect formula for meeting your needs and the needs of anyone else with whom you may associate. So that's kind of the connection between the 6 human needs and your mindset. Now, notice that in that definition, I said your life operating system. And that's what it is. But there's a big difference. Of course, life operating system, you're thinking about computer or cell phone, everything, all the digital devices have an operating system. The operating system is what dictates how they operate. And then you can overlay apps according to the operating system. Well, we as humans are very, very unique. Each of us have our own specific DNA. Each of us are unique. So our operating system is unique. Your mindset is your operating system. Now, a mindset, as I said in the prior video, and I'm going to reiterate it here, is not like a closet full of shoes or sweaters or coats or shirts. It's not something you put on when you need it. Like you have a pair of running shoes and a pair of hiking shoes, a pair of dancing shoes, no shoes. You don't take your mindset off. It never leaves you. And that's the whole point. If you then take this concept of life operating system and the definition I gave you, and you live it, you make it part of your life every single day, every minute, that turns into what I call the mindset of life. It's your life operating system, but it's your mindset of life. It's what brings you fulfillment in life because it gives you clarity. It promotes change in your life. It promotes growth. It's what makes you the human you are. It gives you the certainty you need to move forward in life. It helps you grow, to contribute. It gives you significance. It helps you connect with others. It's the variety in life that we all so crave. That is the mindset of life. So what's that got to do with entrepreneurship? Well, going back to my definition of entrepreneurship, you see, an entrepreneur is someone who identifies the needs of people and then connects them with the means to fulfill their need. It's that simple. And if you look at the top of my profile, you'll notice I have a little saying up there that entrepreneurship is a natural state of humanity. And you may have heard me say that before. So if you understand, appreciate, and believe that, then what that says is everybody who wants to step outside of their comfort zone and contribute to the world is, in fact, an entrepreneur. It's just a degree of contribution, a degree of what you do, the impact you make. Now, the entrepreneurial lifestyle that I'm alluding to in this video is what I classify as the simple 4 steps to being a successful, fulfilled entrepreneur, and therefore fulfilled human. Because entrepreneurship is what I said, it is the natural state of humanity. So if you succeed as an entrepreneur, you have succeeded as being a really fine human. Does that make sense? So what is the entrepreneurial lifestyle? It is fun, profit, freedom, and impact. Now, in a prior video, again, I covered each of those variables. And I assure you, in about 70, maybe 80% of the interactions that I have with people when I describe this entrepreneurial lifestyle, they misunderstand what fun means. They have a different concept of that. They misunderstand profit, at least half of it. They misunderstand to a certain degree what freedom means, although that one they tend to get. And they kind of don't really understand the connection of those three to impact. You see, all of that is part of your mindset. It absolutely is essential that you have the mindset that allows you to be successful. And to do that, you have to make it part of your day-to-day life. You can't live as an entrepreneur, as a successful human, without adopting a mindset that you can rely upon. And that's your life operating system. And they go together. So how does all that work? Well, it goes like this. First of all, when you get into developing a mindset, your life operating system, the purpose of that is to give you a direction in life, is to set a framework around what it is you do each and every day, each and every minute, how you wake up in the morning, how to go to bed at night, what it is that allows you to have the clarity of vision, who it is you want to become, such that you can deliver the clarity of purpose, which is your external manifestation of who you are, that person that you become. The purpose is your legacy. It's how you bring yourself into the world. It's the impact you make. That's what purpose does. And purpose and vision move with time. They move as you grow and as you succeed in life, as you change. See, this is why the mindset is so important. It needs to be able to adapt to change, and it needs to be able to facilitate growth, because as you move forward as an entrepreneur, the capabilities that you possess grow. That vision that you started with of who it is that you are to become in order to deliver that purpose, it grows. As you become more capable and you gain more wisdom and capabilities and talents and skills, you necessarily grow, and you then create change in your life. You create change in the world, and all of that, at one point or another, sums up to impact. So that's real critical. So this mindset thing plays right into the entrepreneurial lifestyle. And so when we're talking about fun, you see, fun to me is not going out and partying and skiing like what's happening outside my window here, or biking or dancing or vacations. Yeah, that falls into a different category. Fun is having the ability to move through life as an entrepreneur and make things happen seamlessly, naturally, easily. Now, I'm not saying that it's just like apples falling off the back of a truck. Fun is when you have arrived at that state of unconscious competence where you're able to make things happen because you have possessed the wisdom, the knowledge, the skill, the intuition, the insight that just allows you to click when you see an opportunity or you see a problem. You know how to connect people with a solution. You just see it. That's the state of fun, because after all, think about it this way. If you're out snowboarding like this guy that just went by, if you are really good at it, you strap on that board and you just glide. You go off the moguls and you just effortlessly migrate down the mountain. But yet you look over and you see the people who are just learning, they're doing face plants. They're on their knees and their back and they're just eating snow. That's not a lot of fun. But the thing is, they know that once they learn it, they're going to be like these other people that are just having a lot of fun. They're in a state of unconscious competence. That's what fun is in the entrepreneurial sense. You have changed, you have grown to the point where you have certainty in your life of how to make all these things happen. That's fun. That's part of the lifestyle. Then we go to profit. Profit is monetary and personal. The monetary is obvious. The personal is the wisdom, the skill, the knowledge, all the things that you become. It's that internal cache of value that you create by developing yourself into someone who can deliver the goods, who can create the purpose. That's worth far more than the money, because that's what gives rise to the money. You can make profits not being much, but you can't go very far until you create the value in yourself. So that's the profit. Freedom, that's the freedom of choices and options in your life to lead the life that you want to live the way you want to live it, and size options and choices to make a difference in the world according to your own values, your beliefs, and your capabilities. That's freedom. And inside of that freedom category is where the vacations, the parties, the things you do to have fun reside. And when we talk about recreation and relaxation, all that stuff, that's in the freedom category. When you have created the fun, meaning your vast capabilities, knowledge and skill, and becoming the person of your vision, and you've generated the profits, then the freedom of choices, the freedom of options comes naturally. That all leads to impact. Impact being how you change the world in your own unique and special way, which brings us all the way back to your life operating system and the mindset of life. Because all of that I just described only happens when you have clarity of vision, purpose, thought, action, and results. You know with clarity where you're going, who you have to become to get there, the kinds of thoughts that you have to keep in your mind in order to achieve that. You know the actions you have to take and the results you're looking for. That's the first part of the mindset formula. And all of that really comes down to a serious introspective look at who you are. And that's what we get into in the formula, the more detailed formula that brings us to our mindset of life. So clarity is critical. But along the way, you've got to change, and your mindset has to change with you. You've got to be able to change and adapt. Your mindset has to adapt to the new life that you have. Because as you move forward in this entrepreneurial journey, it's like hiking in the mountains. You know you want to go west. But as you cross each ridge and each river, you have a new set of circumstances. You have some decisions to make. Those decisions are guided by the vision and the purpose that you have set forth when you started the journey. You have certainty of who you want to become until such time that you determine you have to become someone else. But you at least begin with the certainty to move forward. That's this change part. You have to be able to change when you see the need, and your mindset has to be able to adapt. So there's a module within this formula that, it's one of those periodic things that you just look at and you check and you validate where you are, how you're moving forward, and it adapts to the changes you need to make in your life, the changes that are going to happen organically and naturally. Then we move into the, we've got change. Now we move into growth. Now growth, that's where a lot of fun things happen. Because growth is not just financial, it's personal, it's spiritual, it's relationships, it's your wisdom, your capability. It's all the things that you stack into your unconscious competence category. Growth needs to happen, and it happens as a byproduct of change. Now, here's an interesting idea. You realize that you can change, but not have a whole lot of growth out of it. Why? Because if you're only changing in one particular area, if you're just changing in a linear manner, then what's going to happen is your growth will, generally speaking, be restricted or even not happen, because all you're doing is you're just changing one thing over and over and over again, and nothing much is happening that drives your growth. So you always need to be looking at the connection between growth and change. Change is an opportunity for growth. So you have to look at all the various elements of your entrepreneurial journey and your personal life and everything else that goes with it. You see, entrepreneurship is not a job. It is a lifestyle. By definition, a lifestyle is something that you live on a day-to-day basis. And so if you connect this definition of an entrepreneur, you understand that it's your natural state of humanity, and you connect it now to this entrepreneurial lifestyle plus the mindset of life. It's the natural thing for you to do. Every day you wake up with your mindset of life, your life operating system comes on automatically, and you're on the way. So that's the connection, the entrepreneurial lifestyle and this mindset of life. And it's a powerful concept once you understand it. Now, what goes into all of this is a formula, and that formula is, well, it has a lot of variables. It's not complicated though. And the next session that we get into in the coming day or so, we're going to talk about the very first variable. And let's just talk a little bit about that now. It is desire. Now, there are some philosophies out there going back to the Roman times. In fact, even before that, when some of the great philosophers would tell you that desire is something that you need to suppress until what? Well, until you have clarity. See, desire is the catalyst. Desire has as its foundation dreams. And what are dreams? Dreams are just a risk-free way of experimenting with a reality that you don't own at the present. Think about it. That's what dreams do for you. They give you the ability to experiment with no risk, with no cost. It's what people do all the time. But you see, adults, we tend to start losing our ability to dream. We start losing our propensity to dream. And part of connecting with your mindset is to start dreaming again, and to look at the kinds of things that you would dream of doing, dream of being, dream of contributing, and the kinds of things that you dream for other people, which is real critical, because what's the definition of an entrepreneur? Somebody who identifies the needs of others and connects them with the means to fulfill those needs. Yeah, that's a heady concept, isn't it? Pretty cool when you get right down to it. But all of that comes back to dreaming. Well, dreams then that allow you to feel something, an emotional engagement, whether it's positive or negative, that then becomes desire. You see, dreams are funny because when you're dreaming and just kind of kicking back and fantasizing about all the things that can be, every now and then you're going to get excited about one of those dreams. That's a desire. But every now and then you're going to feel some trepidation, some reluctance, some fear, some pushback. That's a desire too. That's your subconscious telling you that I'm trying to protect you from something that, well, it might be uncomfortable. I don't know if you can do that. But your subconscious mind is also telling you, this is something that you want to do. I'm just telling you, it might be a little difficult. So you don't want to neglect when you have a dream that registers a negative emotion. So we're kind of getting into tomorrow's session, but let's keep going. So you've got your dreams that lead to desires. Those desires now, you start to catalog and prioritize and correlate. You start to look at those in the context of what is it that those desires will lead me to. Now, the ancient philosophers and biblical scholars and so forth, if you read into the desire thing, desire is oftentimes misinterpreted. Desire is your subconscious mind telling you that within you, you have a desire to become something, to contribute, to do something. And it's up to you to figure out what parts of those desires, which of those actually fall into a category that you can do something about. If you have a desire to become an astronaut living on Mars, that probably isn't going to happen for the next 15 years. It's possible, but you've got to be realistic about it. You have to break your desires down into the things that engage you emotionally that are reasonably possible, but it doesn't have to be absolutely possible. It does not have to be certain. All you have to do is realize that there's a path to where you want to go. Then you sit down and you start working on it. Well, that's where we're going to get into some of the other variables that follow the dreams and desires. So desires are something you got to pay attention to. You have to be realistic, but you don't want to become anal retentive about it. You don't want to have the details down and the certainties and know absolutely 100%. Life is all about probabilities. A probability of 0 means it isn't going to happen. A probability of 1 means it's absolutely going to happen. Everywhere in between is fair game for you. You create your own probabilities with your mindset. The possibilities are endless. You have the opportunity to take on any possibility if your mindset aligns with it. So that's the role of dreams and desires. You just get in touch with what's propelling you down underneath, what's driving you, what's creating the emotional engagement. Because as an entrepreneur, if you're not emotionally engaged in what you're doing, I think that's called a job. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have anything against jobs. I had one of those for a very long time. Had a lot of fun. Of course, I was an intrapreneur, bringing all sorts of new ideas, products, concepts, markets, you name it. That was a lot of fun, but it was still a job because I wasn't as emotionally engaged as I should have been. But as an entrepreneur, you've got to be emotionally engaged in what you're doing. You got to believe in it. You have to have conviction That's all emotional engagement. And that begins with the desire to achieve something, the desire to create a purpose that means something to that person out there with a need that you want to connect a solution with. So that's desire. That begins with desire. And you don't have to have a perfect vision of who you're going to become to do that. All you have to do is know, okay, this means something to me. This is possible. I can see this happening. I can visualize it in my mind, and it's within the sphere of possibility. Screw the probabilities. Don't put a number on it. See the possibilities that you are thinking about it, that you are feeling it, means that there's a possibility there for you. Believe it long enough to move forward with it. So we've just kind of taken care of tomorrow. Well, we're going to come back and talk with greater detail of it, but that's the connection. So that's the beginning of our mindset discussion. And all of this stuff is interrelated. Now, here's something that I want to share with you. This is, I've shared this book with a number of our various people that I work with, and students and associates, but it's this. You've probably seen this, The Greatest Miracle in the World by Og Mandino. Within this book is something called the God Memorandum. It's chapter 9. It's a very long memorandum from God to you, and it has a lot of things in it that are just really meaningful. But I want to just mention just one paragraph. I want to cover this one paragraph because as an entrepreneur, when we're looking at mindset, and we're looking at dreams, and we're looking at desires and the catalyst behind what moves us forward, what I'm going to read to you is really critical. So here's the preface to this particular paragraph, and it goes like this. Okay, it says, "Let me share with you again the secret you heard at your birth and forgot. You are my greatest miracle. You are the greatest miracle in the world. You did not believe me then, and nothing has happened in the intervening years to correct your disbelief." Well, this is where mindset comes in. Here is the rest of it. Listen carefully to this, because I think every one of us are exactly guilty of this. Here it goes. "Enough. The milk that is spilled is sour. Yet how many prophets, how many wise men, how many poets, how many artists, how many composers, how many scientists, how many philosophers, messengers, and sages have I sent with the word of your divinity, your potential for godliness, and the secrets of achievement. How did you treat them?" Let's just break that down real simply. What that says is, how many times have you been shown the pathway to your destiny, to deliver the purpose that you desire, to become the person you want and desire to be? How many times has the opportunity crossed your path? How many times has someone stepped in front of you with information or an opportunity and you've neglected them? You haven't taken them seriously. Here's the reason that happens. You don't know what's important to you until your mindset brings it to you. This is why the mindset of life is so absolutely critical as an entrepreneur. If you're to spot the opportunities to make a difference in the world, to grow, to become the person of your vision, you need to avail yourself to all the wisdom that comes your direction. As we've covered in some of the prior videos, when we're talking about the intelligence of the universe that is discussed in great detail in places like The Science of Getting Rich and Think and Grow Rich and The Secret and various other books along the way, all of that has to do with you being mentally prepared to receive the message from those who have it. It doesn't all come from you. As an entrepreneur, you are leveraging the resources of a vast array of talent, knowledge, wisdom, and skill, including the unknown intelligence of the universe that possesses a whole lot of information that you can use if and when your mindset aligns with that. So that's it. That's today's session. It's kind of heady. We got it a little further than I wanted, but that's the incredible power of mindset and the connection to the entrepreneurial lifestyle. So there you have it. I want to thank you guys for coming on board. Really do appreciate it. And for those who watch the replay, by all means, leave questions, comments, ideas, thoughts. I do see them and I do respond to them. So there you have it. I hope that left you with a little additional food for thought today. And so with that, I'm going to log off. Once again, I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a great day. And we'll be on tomorrow with, I'm going to go back into the dreams and desires because it leads to the next variable after desire, which is decision. And you'll want to tune in for that one because decision is one of those variables that some people absolutely misconstrue. They make it so difficult on the common person because decision is a word that to some is kind of fearful. And I'm going to break that down and I'm going to remove the fear for you, and you're going to understand what a decision is that works for you. Okay, well, thank you once again, and we'll see some or all of you tomorrow. Take care and have a great day.